Hi guys, this is Odaya Pollard. I just wanted to create this video to show people who choose to use the Revit to create arrangement drawings for the assignment and engineering design, how easy it is to do in Revit. No matter what version you have, well, I guess from Revit 2013 or 2012 to now, which is, I'll be using Revit 2016, it's easy to create the reinforcement detail and to create the actual construction drawings. Alright, this is what we want to design today. It's basically a beam, two columns, and a foot that's resting on footing. We have these sections here that show you the arrangement of the steel in the beam and columns respectively. It also indicates the levels between the beam and the top of the footing, which is 10 feet, making assumptions for shear and lap. We could also do that within Revit. And it's saying that the lap is equal to 40 by the diameter, which is a standard practice in construction. And we will create arrangement drawings as well after we finish place all the reinforcement that we need. Alright, okay. Let's start. Sorry about that, I just got a notification. Suarez has scored a hat-trick against Alba. For those who watch it. And Roma has won 2-1. Anyway, alright, so let's go. So open Revit. We go to new, we're going to start a new project. And you have the template file. What we're going to do is we're going to browse. You're going to C drive. If you're using Revit for the first time, it should go to here automatically. You're going to program data. Autodesk. Go down to Revit 2016. I have Revit 2016. Look at the family templates. Oh no, sorry, templates. Go to US Imperial because the units are in Imperial. I'm using the default Imperial template. Press open. Press OK. Okay. So this is your start screen here. This is what to start with. This is a level 1 floor plan, and then there are level 2. The first thing we should do is to set up our levels. Now they said it was 10 feet from top to bottom. So if you go to the elevations, any elevation will work. South elevation is actually set up as 10 feet. Now if this had said it was 12 feet, we can easily just click on the label, click on the label and let's press 12. It recognizes it as 12 feet and it will go to 12 feet. But we want it to be 10 feet, so 10 feet is fine. So we don't have much to modify there. The other thing I want to do before we start is to import or insert the rebars, because by default this default template doesn't have the rebar, which is considered a family in the system. So what you do, you go to insert, load family, you go to the US Imperial Libraries. It's the same part Autodesk Revit libraries this time, not template. Go to US Imperial, scroll down until you see structural rebar shapes. Press Ctrl and A, I repeat that, press Ctrl and A and press and select open. It will take a little while to go into the system. It's processing, it's sending all the rebars we would have chosen. It's going through the process. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi 3, 4 Mississippi 5, Mississippi 6, 7 Mississippi 8, Mississippi 9. Yeah. Alright, we're back. Let's double check that the rebars were in place. Click on in the project browser. Click on families, the plus button. Scroll down to structural rebar, rebar bar, and you see in all the sides. So you have number 3, which is 3/8, 4/8, 4/8 is ½ inch, 5/8, 6/8 is 3/4. You have 7/8. 8/8, which is 1 inch, and so on and so forth. And you also have the shape, which we will see in a moment. Alright, another thing before we start, we should go into structure tab, and where you see this reinforcement drop down, we should set up our reinforcement cover. Looking at the drawing, I didn't put the cover here, but we will put this as 3 inch and this one as 2.5 inches. Because this will be in foundation, and usually cover is usually about 3 inches. So we duplicate, we could call this beam cover, and we could call this footings cover, and we will create the next one, and we will call this column cover. The beam cover we said is 2.5, and make sure I put the inches. You see, 2.5 inches. For the footings, we're going to 3 inches, and for the column, it's going to just be 1.5 inches. Right? If you want, you can delete this one, but it's not necessary. And you press OK. Okay. As well, okay, no problem. As well, I want to also insert the columns and the footings and the beams into the system. Now, by default, the beam is the W section, and the columns are also W section. So we need to insert it. So you go back to the Insert tab, Load Family, Generic. We go to US Imperial. Scroll along, you see Structural Columns. You're going to see Concrete, and we're going to choose, since our column is 1 foot by 1 foot, you're going to choose a square column. Press Open. We're going to go back into Load Family, US Imperial, and we're going to Structural Foundations. We want to insert the footings. Now you have all these other choices, pile caps, which is not, we are not using that right now. So the footings, we want to open that, and then we want to do it once more, Load Family, go into US Imperial, and we're going to Structural Framing. Open that, go into Concrete, and it gives you a preview here of what a rectangular beam looks like. Press Open, and you're good. Now we're ready to start. Go into Level 2. Level 2 is highlighted. Go into Structure, and we're going to draw the columns first. Right? Now, if you look at your drawing, or the sketch, sorry, it's 240 inches from end to end, not center to center, but from this face to this face, which is 240 divided by 12, which is 20 feet. So what we could do, you could do it two ways. You can either create grids, but this is a simple structure, so we're going to just create the columns. Go to Column. Now it's already set up here as a round column. We don't want a round column, we want apparently I selected round instead of square. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to come here and press Load Family, go to US Imperial, Structural Columns, Concrete, and Square, Concrete Square Column, and this is the preview. Press Open. It should change to Concrete Square 12 by 12. 12 by 12, instead is to make sure it's not 12 feet by 12 feet and it's 12 inches by 12 inches. Click on Edit Type, and it's showing here that the dimensions is 1 foot, which is fine. So I'm going to place one here, and you should see a blue dash line making sure that it's kept in place, in the same place, and you press one here. Now we want to make sure that you can scroll in. Let's zoom, use your wheel to zoom in. The distance between here and here is 20 feet. So you could go to annotate. I'm not going to use any shortcuts. You could go to annotate, align, and where this option bar is, select wall faces. And you see when you move around the cursor, it highlights different faces of the column. Make sure it selects this face and this face. And you can press modify. So right now the distance between here and here is 18 feet 9.5 inches. We want this to be 20 feet away from this face. So select this column and you see this dimension turns blue. Click on it and just type 20. 20 is fine. And let's press enter. And right now the distance between here and here is 20 feet, which is what we want. You can select the dimension, delete it. It's not necessary now that we have it to be 20 feet. Just to see what this looks like in 3D, press this house. You see called default 3D view, and you'll see this is shown here. You can look at it shaded. Click on this visual style here, select shaded, and it's shaded. You can even see shadows if you wanted, right? And you can rotate holding on shift and the middle scroll button to rotate. Shift and the middle scroll button, you can rotate it. So this is what it looks like. Front view. So close off that. You can look at it in elevation as well. We can look at it from the north. Zooming in. So the distance from top to bottom is 10 feet, and these are the columns. So we're going to place a beam on top of here right now. You can close off that. So make sure that you're in the level 2 floor plan. It's highlighted here. And we're going to draw a beam. So go to structure, beam. Excuse. Right now they have a 16 by 32, but we want a 14 by 24. You can click on the down arrow to see if they have any other types. They have a 12 by 24. So you can select any one of these. Go to edit type. And you select duplicate. We're creating a duplicate of this beam. And we're renaming it 14 by 24. Press OK. But you're not finished. All you did was rename the beam. Now we have to change the dimensions. So the width B is 14 inches, which is actually 1 foot 2 inches, and the height will remain the same. It's 2 feet. Or just a double check for those who want to make sure it's 2 feet, 24 inches. You can also get a preview if you press here, but that's fine. Press OK, and now we have a beam. Looking at the option, we are placing this beam on level 2, and we're placing it from this end to this end. You have snaps, so you have, just like in AutoCAD, you have snaps that will guide you. So click on the end point and on this end point. Now we have a problem. Clearly, the columns are smaller than the actual beam. The columns are 1 foot and the beam's width is 1 foot 2 inches. So the best thing to do, we are basically going to change the column thickness so that it could support the beam. So what we're going to do, to select the column, press tab, right click, and go to select all instances in entire project. If we zoom out, you'll see the 2 columns are selected. Go to edit type, create a duplicate the same way we did it with the beam. We're going to do it for the column. Call it 14 by 14, we represent 14 by 14 inches. And we're changing the dimensions, so 1 foot 2 inches. Or we could just put 14 inches. I don't want to confuse you. And press OK. And you see, it totally supports it. Just to look in the 3D. However, 2 levels distance at 10 feet, but that's fine. We will leave it as is. Right? So the beam is going into that. So we want to create a reinforcement detail that will tie the beam into the column, show the stirrups, main bars, top and bottom, and also we had to create the footings as well. So let's create the footings. Go into the first level plan. You see the 2 columns. Because you're at level 1, you will not see the beam because the beam is on level 2. Right, so you come to structure again, isolated. If you keep on it, it will show you what is going to happen. You're going to get a footing, square footing, with a specific depth at the bottom of the column. Press isolated. Now let me look at the options. We have this and this. 72 by 48, which is not really square, is actually rectangular footing by 18 inches deep. We want footing that is 4 feet by 4 feet by 12 inches deep. So we could go back to edit type, duplicate. It's going to be 48 by 48 by how deep is it? It's 12 inches deep. 12 inches deep. Right? Now we have to change the dimension. So the width is fine. The length is 4 feet. Just press 4. And the thickness is 1 feet. Just press 1. Press OK. So now we can place it. Level 1, let's look at our options. Level 1, there's no offset. Now this information here, structurally rebar cover, could be changed after the fact. We don't have to change it now, we will change it after the fact. Alright, place it where you see the cross, zooming in. You see none of these of the created elements are visible in floor plan level 1 view. You may want to check the active view, its parameters and visibility settings as well as any plan regions. This basically saying that the view it is in right now, you will not be able to see it, but we could change that. You do the same thing here, you should get the same error message. Okay. Press modify. Right. Make sure that you have nothing selected. Go to the properties bar and scroll down until you see view range. And select edit. We want from the level 1 floor plan to be able to see the footings. Now our footings are 1 foot deep. So we wanted to go negative, now you go more than 1 foot, 14 inches deep. And the view depth will be a little larger, which is 1 foot 6, I guess. And apply. Now we could see the footings. Looking at this in 3D. See? I'll take off the shadow, it's not necessary. So now we have done this, we are ready to model the rebars. Now to model rebar, I prefer to watch at this in elevation. North view. And we want to create a section cut between the column and the beam. Now section AA is the column, so we're going to do that first. So go into view. There are shortcuts here, but I want to show you how to get it. Section. You could call it a wall section, building section, doesn't matter. We will modify it to suit. Click up here and then come down. This dashed line shows you the view range of the section. We just want to see a little part of it here. If you look at the squiggly line, there's a break, you could break it. So that's section AA. Highlight it. Highlight the section. Come in the properties. And we could rename this. Instead of section 1, we will call it section A-A. Right? we will create another section, this time for the column, escape. Now the problem with this is that you can't do a building section in elevation in this direction, so we will change this to detail. And now you have that, and we make sure we just bring this down slightly. You could toggle this, just bring it down slightly. And the footings could remain in this view. We could create that after the fact. Alright, so to go to this section, before we do that, structure, let's look at the settings for reinforcement. The reinforcement settings, we have reinforcement rounding. This is good like if you need to do quantities, you need to know how much bars you need to buy, and it's good for the procurement team. But what I'm interested in is that I don't want to include hooks in the rebar sheet definition. So and it's always important that you do this first before you start modeling reinforcement. The cover was dealt with, settings, reinforcement numbers is basically if you want to create schedules, like a rebar table and all of that. We're not doing that today. Alright. Also, let's change the covers. So for the beam, the cover is in the property section. Scroll down until you see structural rebar cover, and we're going to change it to beam cover for each one of the instances. For the column, it's going to be column cover, 1.5 inches. This should be the same thing. It would have been easier if I had selected both of them at the same time and done it simultaneously. And for the footings, let's say 3 inches right around, because it will be in the undergrade, so you want 3 inches cover right around. And that's fine. So we want to create the workflow for creating reinforcement is always the stirrup first, and then the main bars. So let's go to this section. You highlight the head and double click, or right click, go to view. Alright, now the scale for this is too big. You can come here to the bottom where it says 1/8 is equal to 1 foot, and we will change that to 1/2 inch is equal to 1 foot. Right? This is your viewport. You could select that, sorry, your crop region, and just bring it in. Alright? You can change the building section type to detail, I guess. We'll leave it as building section. Right? Now, personally, I don't want to see this level 2 there. What you could do is you could highlight this, go to the glasses at the bottom here, and say hide the category. It's going to hide. Or if you want to permanently hide it, you can come here, click on it, and in the modify section where this light bulb is, you can say hide category. It's going to permanently hide. So you will never see the levels, because you usually don't see level in a section view, unless it's like an elevation view or something like that. Alright, so time to model. So we highlight this. When you highlight the beam, this is the beam you're looking at. The options change to modify structural framing, and it's saying rebar. Click on rebar. A message will say hooks will not be included because we changed our setting before. That is fine. You here in the option bar, modify place rebar. Now we want to place the stirrups first. This just gives you the numbers of the shapes, but if you press this ellipsis here on the right hand side, you can scroll down to the shape you're looking for. We're looking for stirrups. This is considered a stirrup, but that's not the type of stirrup we want. We want the T1 stirrup. Right? If you look at the drawing, it's the T1 stirrup you're looking at. Now this is not the way the stirrup should look because it's perpendicular to cover. We want it parallel to the work plane. And now, but before we choose anything, let's choose the size. It's number 3 stirrups. So go back to Revit, pick the number 3 bars. Bam, 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 bam. The shape, everything is fine. And we want the hook to be, you know, if you notice, the bars is constrained inside the beam because we set the cover to be 2.5 inches. So once you see that, click and you have it there. Now I just want to show you, if you go to view and you go to cascade or tile windows, which is shortcut for WT, we could see I would prefer to see it in 3D. WT, I want this on the right side, WT, on the left side, sorry. I want the model on this side, I want to see this here. Now I want to see these bars shown up in this model. So when you highlight the stirrup, we're under graphics, view visibility states, select edit, and in view type, which is a 3D view, you want to view it unobscured and as a solid, press OK. You see it shows up here, that's where we made the section cut. And we want this to be fine. Alright. If you zoom in, you see seeing it inside it, that's cool, right? Another thing we could do is that we could select everything, go to filter, make sure the rebar is not selected, press OK, come up in your, and where you see this paintbrush, override by element or category, doesn't matter. We want to see it, but we want it to be half tone and we want it to be transparent to about 80%. You can type in 80, press OK. So now the rebar is highlighted. It's more, you know, significant. Now, they said that the stirrups are placed 3 at 5 inches. So you can do it in either views. Select the stirrup, and what you see in layout, instead of single, maximum spacing, and not 5 inches but 0, not 4 inches but 5 inches. Let's, you see it automatically creates the spacing, right? Now according to this, they wanted to make assumptions for shear. Now my assumptions for shear is that the ends will be 10 inches away from this face of the color. That's when you're looking at crack control and shear control as well. So we want these the first and the last stirrup to be 10 inches away from the first face of the color. Now that's fine. Now we want to place 4 number 8 bars at the bottom and 2 number 4 bars at the top. Going back in the section AA. I want these stirrups to look better in this, so you could come at the bottom where it's a detail level and set it to fine. See, it looks nice. Select the beam, go back to rebar, and this time you want to pick shape, which is a straight bar. We want to choose number, we'll model the bottom, number 8, which is 1 inch. Now this is not the direction we want it to be in, so we go to perpendicular. Let's see. And I want, in the layout rule, now you can change the layout rule in the properties on the rebar side, click down on it, and you see single, you can put fixed number and change that to 4. Now if you come against this face, it's going to be like this up here, but we want it at the bottom here. Let's click when you see it, and that's fine. We want tool number 4 up here, so we can change the quantity to 2 and we can change the bar to 4, and we come up here and make sure that it fits nicely and snug. Modify. I want this to look good in 3D as well, so control, select this, and press control and select the ones on top. Rebar multiple type selected, which is fine, right? And go in graphics, views, visibility state, 3D view, unobscured as solid. Okay, so end this now. Looks nice. You know, just to show you what's also cool is that if I want to see this even more realistic, I could come here in visual style, select realistic. It's going to take a little bit, take some processing power to do this. It's not much different. Usually you see the rust. I don't know. Realistic, consistent colors. I don't know. Usually you see the rust. I don't know why I'm not seeing it, but I'll leave it as shaded because I'm not seeing much of a difference. Usually you see the rust patterns, and well, that's not really necessary. Anyway, so we have done the beam. Go back to level 2. Actually, not level 2. We go back to the north. No, now we want to model the columns. Go to section, details, actually, detail 0. And this is the column, like we're looking at it from on top at a cut section. Just to make sure. Let's see. Excel this. Look at it in North. WT. Hey. Alright. WT. Alright. So now we're gonna model stirrups and main bars inside of here. Now it's the stirrups are number 3, which is 3/8 by 6 inches apart spacing. So the same procedure, select the section. You see here it's highlighted as well. Revit is very parametric. Select on the cover is already set from what we did before. Select rebar. Select the shape you want. Select the bar size 3/8. Now it's in the wrong orientation. Select parallel to work plane. That's what you want. But I don't want the ties, so I'm going to pick shape number, rebar shape T2, and that's fine. Click on it. We want it to be shown also in 3D, so select on it. Go to view visibility states on the properties bar, unobscured, okay. Put this to fine, change the scale. I think I took a 1/2 inch by 1. Yeah, you can zoom in to look at it. Alright, the spacing for this, now you won't be able to see it in here unless I wanted to, but I want to see it in 3D. WT. And we are on this side here. I spin it around, so this rebar, if I highlight it, it says highlighted here. Has to be spaced, maximum spacing at 6 inches, 0, 6. Okay. Now, if you look at this, it went straight to the top. That's not what we want. There are two ways to deal with this. If I look at this in the front view, I want this to stop here. So you can just drag it down by the grips, stop it here. And it stopped here, so that's fine. Right? Now I want to put in the main bars, and it's for number 5, which is 5/8 or 60 millimeters for the metric users. So go back to Rebar. Now I don't want to say. I remember that the shape itself was 0, 0. It's straight bars. But it's also highlighted here, that's fine. After a while you wouldn't need this, you will know what shapes, because there are common shapes that you use all the time. And then I want to change this to perpendicular to cover. You see? Change it to number 5. And I want to change the layout to fixed number, but instead of 3, 2. Here's period, and then they place another 2 here. Modify. I want this to be shown up in 3Ds. Control, select the 2 rebars. Edit as a solid. Okay. Right. Now look at this. In construction, usually what happens is that these bars will be bent into the column. Right? So what we could do in this view itself, select the bar, make sure the bar is selected, and where you see hook at the start or end, you can change that to standard. It's bent up. I want it bent down. It's too much. I don't want to go into all of that right now. Tab. I want the top to also be bent up on both sides. So that's done, that's done. This set of bars I wanted to also be bent. Not rebar, but standard 90 degrees. If you go to the other side, you see it's bent. I don't know why it's bending up and not down. I don't have time to show you how to do that anyway. You can look at it in front view. This looks fine. Now, I want the main bars and the stirrups to be copied to this. Instead of going to remodel it, you could probably shift around. Select the stirrups. Select, make sure you have to be careful when you select it. Select the stirrups. Or what you could do is escape, select, make a selection window, go to filter, and remove the columns and the foundation, and just let the rebars alone be selected. On the vehicle, we can press front. If you double click on the wheel button, you will zoom extend to the full drawing. Go to the copy icon. You can constrain it, sorry. Click on the edge. Click on that edge. Right. Says on that side. I want this to be shown as a solid as well. The same way, view visibility. Press OK. So you see how simple it is? You could copy and paste. You could copy over rebar sets in the right view. But you have to be careful, sometimes you do make mistakes.